Alright, so everybody ready now? Everybody is ready? Alright.
Yes, sir.
So with transposition, you're given a formula. And what you're going to do with this formula, you're going to change the subject of the formula. For example, let's say we had a formula like y is equal to a plus x. So I'm starting out simple. So we have a formula, y is equal to a plus x. And let's say we want to make x the subject. We want to make x the subject. Now, to make x the subject, you would have to get rid of everything that is around x, right? Hello, students, are you
Yes,
here?
sir.
So to make x the subject, we have to remove everything from this side so that it's only x alone we have left on this side. So what I'm going to do, we need to remove this a. Now, what is the a doing to the x right now? Or what is the relationship between x and the a right now? What are they doing?
Plus.
Yeah, they are adding to each other, right? So if we want to remove the a is being added to x. Remember, we only need x on this side. So what can we do to remove this a? What's the opposite of addition?
Take away.
Take away. So we would have to do what? We would have to subtract a on both sides, right? So that this a cancels this a. So we would have x being equal to y minus a. And the subject, remember that the subject of the formula should always be on the left hand side. So the answer would be x equal to y minus a. So remember I'm saying that we're going to start with simple. So that would be the answer. Everybody get that? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Look here, students, I need your response because probably I'm not saying that everybody understands. And I'm not saying that everybody don't understand. But at the same time, if you don't understand or you're not hearing, if you don't talk, I can't know that. Get what I'm saying? So I need your response. Any questions before we move on to the next one?
He said the subject should always be on the left hand side.
Yes, the subject must always be on the left hand side.
Okay.
So can I remove this?
No, sir.
So let's start out with that. I'm going to work on that formula. So as I said before, I'm starting out simple. So let's say we have y equal to ax, for example. Y equal to ax. This is another formula. Let's say we want to make a the subject in this case. Let's say we want to make a the subject. So we're starting out simple. Transposition. Can I remove this?
Yes, sir.
Alright, so with this question, we have y is equal to ax. We want to make a the subject. So what you need to figure out is where a is. The other variables that's beside, well, it doesn't have to be a variable, it can also be a number. But in this case, it's a variable. Ax. What is a and x doing right now? What is the relationship between them?
Multiplying, sir?
They're multiplying. So if we need to remove, what do we need to remove from this side?
X, sir.
The x. So how would we remove the x if multiplication is what is going on here? What's the opposite of multiplication? Division. So what we need to do? We need to divide both sides by what?
Y by X.
We need to divide both sides by x. So when we divide both sides by x, because the numerator is separated by a multiplication sign, we can cancel numerator with denominator. So But remember, when we're doing fractions, we have two ways in which we can cancel. We can cancel vertically or we can cancel diagonally. So in this case, it's a vertical cancellation. X into x1. So what we have is a being equal to y over x. Put a on the left hand side, a is equal to y over x. That would be the solution. Another example, let's say we had y equal to mx plus c. Y equal to mx plus c, and we want to make x the subject. Realize this one's a little bit more complicated than the first two, little bit, but you realize it involves both concepts from the first two examples. So now we want to make x the subject. Now we want to make what the subject? X. So that means we need to remove what? We need to remove c and
M.
C and the M. Now, to remove C and the M, we first need to figure out which one of these operations is the simplest thing to be removed, that we can remove first. So, for example, the X is multiplied by M, then they add C to it. So, addition, multiplication, which one is more simpler? Which of the operations is addition? So that means we need to remove what first? We need to remove C. So what I'm going to do, instead of subtracting C at both sides, I'm just going to take it and bring it over the equal sign. So I'm going to have y minus C is equal to mx. What's the next step? What's the next step?
Divide x by both sides.
Divide both sides by m. So we have y minus C over m is equal to mx over m. So x would be equal to y minus c all over m. Just rewrite it on the left hand side. So x would be equal to y minus c all over m. That would be our answer for this question. So take off those two for me, and then let's continue.
How you do number one, sir? Like how you divide your minus c. From both sides, so like when you bring over C to the Y, so you just bring over the A in number one.
Yes, miss, it's the same procedure. We could have just bring over the A.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, it's simple, it's just that you're not really making the connection. Alright, can I remove this one?
No, sir,
let me show you something. It's like use a little space right here. I'm going to remove it. Let's take a space right here. It's simple, it's just that students don't really necessarily make the connection between these things. But solving, doing transposition is basically doing linear equations. It's like saying, let's say we have 10 is equal to 2x, and we want to find x. Finding x, what do we need to do?
Sir, my connection is board blurry.
No man, you look like the board kind of blurry still to show. The internet connection, man. It looks like what? Hold on. It's not plugged in either. Alright. So I don't know if it's going to come over a bit better now.
Sir?
Yes, miss?
I'm not seeing it, sir.
You're not seeing it?
No, sir.
What, the board? Yeah, sorry about that. So you're saying you're not seeing this?
No, sir.
Yeah.
My connection and I will put up that.
What, your screen is what, blank or what? What's going on with your screen?
Man, can I put me in a first one? After
Still not seeing this, seeing the board goodness?
Come out to the group and then next year I get back.
No, if you come out and come back in, I don't have to add her again. She's already added. So if you want to log out and log back in, you can try that.
Things are blurry again.
It's the internet connection, man. So you just have to, what I'm trying to do still, I'm trying to record it so that, get it post up, so that, you can always go and watch it.
Alright, go ahead.
So you're still not seeing the, what? Did she log out and log back in?
No, sir.
Alright, so listen to what I'm going to do. I'm going to start with what is called transposition thing. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a question with some variables, and I'm going to put a question with like a linear equation question that would correspond to the transposition question. Understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I'm just going to clean out everything. Because what's really going on, you know, students don't really, they're just not seeing the connection between certain things. So let's see if I can redo this back over. So let's say we had a question like 5 is equal to x plus 3, and we have y is equal to x plus let's say m, for example. And here we're solving for x right here. We're solving for x, and here we should make x the subject right here. So make x the subject, or change the subject of the formula. Or we could say express x in terms of y and m. So we have some different ways in which we could actually state that. So in this case, with the linear equation question, we need to solve for x. So what do we normally do when we solve for x? If we're solving for x right here, you're going to do. You're going to do what?
Question, so I can say above.
Seeing that now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so if we want to make x the subject or solve for x, what are we going to do? I'm not hearing it, could you repeat?
We try to get it by itself, so we subtract the 3 on both sides.
Yes, so when we're solving the linear equation, what do we call that? If I'm going to take the 3 and bring it on this side, what do we call that? We are doing what? What are we doing? We're collecting what? We're grouping like terms, or we're collecting like terms. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring the positive 3 over the equal sign. It's going to turn what? It's going to turn negative. So 5 minus 3 is equal to x. So x would be equal to 2. X is equal to 2 because the subject will be on the left hand side. Now, solving this linear equation is the same procedure for solving this. For solving this transposition question. So to make x the subject, what we're supposed to do? We're supposed to do what? Collect like terms. It's just that in this case, it's not like terms we're collecting, you know, because m is different from y. Understand what I'm saying? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but it's the same procedure. Over here, solving the linear equation, we're collecting like terms. But over here, it's the same procedure, it's just that we would not call it collect like terms. So what we would have is y minus m equal to x. X is equal to y minus m. Understand what I'm saying? Everybody?
Yes, sir.
So can I remove this?
Yes, sir.
Alright, so I'm going to change up the equations a bit. I'm going to change over a bit. Remove these. I'm going to change over a bit. So let's say we had 10 equals to 5x. And right here we have y equals to mx. So solving these two, this is a linear equation. both of them are linear equations. This one we're solving for x, this one we're making x the subject. Now, with this one, we need to solve for x. What can we do? We have 5x equals to 10. What are we going to do?
Divide.
We are going to divide both sides by 5. So x would be equal to 2. X would be equal to 2. So this would be the answer. So it's the same procedure we're going to carry out here. We need to make x a subject, so we're going to have to divide both sides by m. So y divided by m is equal to mx divided by m. So m would cancel m. So x would be equal to y over m. And as I said before, you can rewrite the subject being on the left hand side. X is equal to y over m. So that is how we would solve a question like that. So take it off, and I'm going to give 2 more similar examples. So what I need you to do is to be able to make the connection between a linear equation and a transposition question. Because they are the same, it's just that when we're doing when you're solving a linear equation, well, this is also a linear equation. When we're solving a linear equation, we're solving for one variable, or we're only dealing with one variable. When solving a linear transposition question, we're dealing with multiple variables. But it's the same procedure. You just need to try and make the connection between them to understand what is really going on. Get what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Yes, alright, this all for me, quickly.
Yes, sir.
Alright, everybody finish right now? Everybody finish right?
Sir. Yes, sir. We're over the M1.
Alright, hurry up, son, hurry up. Remember, we're working off time now. I need to cover certain things with that is time, but the same thing.
Finish mostly.
Alright, so remove this. Remove this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and make the question a little bit more complicated. Let's say we're adding. I'm going to add a c here. I'm going to have let's say we have 5 equal to 2x plus let's say 1. Now, solving this linear equation, we need to solve for x. So the first step is we're going to calculate what? We're going to calculate our group like terms. I'm going to bring over the 1. I'm going to have 5 minus 1 equals to 2x. After simplifying the 5 minus 1, we're going to get 4 equals to 2x. Then afterwards, I'm going to have to do what? Afterwards, I'm going to have to divide both sides by 2. Now remember, we're solving for x. So I'm going to have 2x divided by 2 equals to 4 divided by 2. Now remember, anything you do on one side of an equation, you do it on the other side. These cancel. So x would be equal to 2. And if you want, you can rewrite the subject on the left hand side. X would be equal to 2. Now the same procedure that we had carried out here, we're going to carry out here. It's just that instead of dealing with direct numbers, we're dealing with variables. So we're supposed to make x the subject. So in this case, on this side, the left hand side, we call it like terms. On the right hand side, we're just going to bring over the c. Or we're going to say subtract c on both sides. But bringing it over, it's the same thing as subtracting. So y minus c is equal to mx. So we end up with the first step right here. We usually have 5 minus 1. Right here we have y minus c. With 5 minus 1, we know that that is 4. But y minus c, we cannot subtract c from y because they are 2 different variables. So we just leave it as it is. Everybody is seeing the connection? Everybody is seeing the connection? Now, the next step that we carried out here was to divide both sides by 2. Why? Because we're solving for x. right here, we're solving for x also, so we have to divide both sides by
M.
we have to divide both sides by m. So mx divided by m is equal to y minus c divided by m. So what we have is x being equal to y minus c all over m. We can rewrite it on the left hand side. So x would be equal to y minus c all over m. So as I said before, solving a linear equation or a quadratic equation, well, depending on the type of quadratic equation, it's the same procedure as transposing. Same procedure. So take this off for me, take these off, and let's continue. Everybody, finish right off what's on the board?
Yes, sir.
Alright, so let's move on to another question. Let's say we had, it's getting a little bit more complicated as we go along. So let's say we had something like this. Let's say we had 3 is equal to x over 5, and we have m is equal to x over 3, for example. We can have some transposition question mixed up with some variables, with both variables and numbers. So with this one, we're solving for x, but if you realize the x is being divided by 5, so to cancel this 5 right here, we have to do the opposite of division. What's the opposite of division?
Multiplication.
Multiplication. So I'm going to have to multiply both sides by 5. So 5 is going to cancel 5, so x will be equal to 15 in this case. X is equal to 15. On this side, we're going to have to multiply both sides by what? What are we multiplying by? 3. So these would cancel. So x would be equal to 3m. X would be equal to 3m. If you realize this one is a bit simpler, so as I said, with each transposition question, I'm going to give you a linear equation that is similar to it. But it's similar. You have to carry out the same operations to solve it. Get that? So take these off for me. Take these off quickly. Alright, so this question now. This resembles an algebraic fraction question that we did in class. Now, normally, when you're dealing with algebraic fractions, whether it's an expression or an equational type question, the first thing we have to find is the what? When doing a fraction question, whether it's an equation or an expressional type question, what do we normally find? We normally find the LCM. So just remember that underneath this 4, there's a 1. So the LCM for 1 and the 2 would be? The LCM would be? LCM would be 2. So after finding the LCM, this is an equational type question. What am I going to do with the LCM?
Multiply by everything.
So I'm going to multiply through or multiply everything by the LCM. So I'm going to have 4 1 multiplied by 2 equals to 3x minus 1 over 2 multiplied by 2. Remember, bracket means multiply. So this 2 is going to cancel this 2. So we're going to have 8 being equal to 3x minus 1. So the next step is, remember we're solving for x. So the next step is what do we need to do here? We have 8 equal to 3x minus 1. What do we need to do? We need to
get the 3 alone.
Could you repeat that?
Get the 3x alone, sir. So we're going to add.
So we're going to add 1 on both sides, or just bring 1 over the equal sign. So we're going to have 8 plus 1 equals to 3x. We know that 8 plus 1 is 9 equals to 3x. Now what's the next step? Divide both sides by 3, because remember we're solving for x. So divide both sides by 3. So we're going to have x being equal to 3, because 9 divided by 3 is 3. Now the same procedure we use to solve this linear equation question, the same procedure we're going to use to solve this. So if you realize it resembles a fractional, it resembles an algebraic fraction question, but this one is an equational type. So what we need to do is to find the y. What do we need to find? Remember we're doing this question now? So what do we need to find? What was the first thing we found on this side? So what are we going to find on this side? The LCM. Same procedure, the LCM. So underneath this y, we know that there is a 1. So 1 and the n. What's the LCM?
LCM n.
LCM is n. So what we need to do? We need to do what? What are we going to do with that n?
We're going to divide it.
No.
Then you're going to multiply by.
We're going to multiply n by everything. So it's going to be our just cross multiply. But just forget about the cross multiply. But it's the same thing. But we're going to multiply everything by n. So it's n times y equals to n times mx plus c over n. Remember, you know, the same procedure used to solve a linear equation, the same procedure used to solve a transposition question. It's just that you're not making the connection between these two things. So n will cancel n. So we have ny or yn. Remember commutative law, ny and yn is the same thing. So ny is equal to mx plus c. Now, when we were at this stage of solving the linear equation question, we collected like terms. It's the same procedure we're going to apply here. It's just that instead of collecting like terms, we're going to bring over the c and minus. So we're going to bring over the c and subtract it. So it's going to be ny minus c equals to mx.
Then we're going to divide.
We're going to divide both sides by? By m, because on this side we're solving for x, so we divide both sides by 3. This side we're making x the subject, so we have to divide both sides by n. So m will cancel m, so x is going to be equal to ny minus c all over m. You just need to make the connection between these two things. Solving a linear equation and solving changing the subject of a formula for a transposition question. They're basically the same thing. It's just that with solving a linear equation question here, you're dealing with direct numbers. You're only dealing with one variable. While transposition, you're dealing with multiple variables. Sometimes also numbers. Get what I'm saying? So you just have to try and understand what is going on between these two things. Because to me, maths is transposition and substitution. There's a lot of transposition and there's a lot of substitution. So once you understand those two concepts, it's not supposed to give you much problem. So take those out for me and then let's continue. So this is a new question. I want you to try this one for me. So we're going to have this one. We're going to have, let's say we have n is equal to mx squared plus c divided by a. So with this one, we're solving for x, and with this one, we're making x the subject. So try that question for me. Give me a few seconds. Try that one. So if you realize it's similar to the question that we had on the board before, it's just that I put a square on it. So this is basically a quadratic equation. This one is also a quadratic equation. This one we're solving for x, this one we're making x the subject. So try that question for me. Alright, so can I go ahead and solve the question? Alright, so remember, it's an equation, fractional components in it. So the first thing we're going to find is the LCM. So in this case, the LCM is 3. So what we're going to do, we're going to multiply right through by 3. So it's going to be 3 times 3 equals to 3 bracket 2x squared plus 1 all over 3. Now this 3 is going to cancel this 3, so we're going to have 9 being equal to 2x squared plus 1. The next step, we're going to group like terms or collect like terms. I'm going to bring this positive 1 over the equal sign. We're going to turn negative, so we're going to have 9 minus 1 being equal to 2x squared. We're going to simplify this side, which we're going to get 8 being equal to 2x squared. So I'm just going to continue here. So we have 2x, we have 8 being equal to 2x squared. So if you realize we need to solve for x, but what's hampering us right now is the 2 and also the square. Now, what is much simpler, or which is much simpler to remove, the square or the 2? Now, multiplication and squaring a number, they're basically the same. It's just that when you're squaring a number, you're multiplying it by itself. And if you're multiplying a number by another number, you're just multiplying it by another number basically. So what we need to remove first is this 2. Understand? We need to remove this 2 first. So we need to divide both sides by 2. After dividing both sides by 2, we're going to get 4 be equal to x squared. Now, we need to remove the square because we're solving for what? We're solving for x, so we need to remove the square. Now, the opposite of square is square root. So if we're going to find the square root of x squared, we need to also find the square root of 4. So I'm going to have the square root of 4 being equal to the square root of x squared. So square root cancels square. So x is going to be equal to the square root of 4, and we already know that the square root of 4 is 2. So x is equal to 2. So take this off for me, and let's go on to the transposition question. Any question? Yeah? So before we move on, any question?
Yes, sir. Square it like and get the 4 before we even done.
No, man, no. Simple mistake. What do you mean the square it? What is the square?
From the beginning, I get the 4 and then do the equation.
What do you mean? From up here?
Yes.
No, man, no. We wouldn't do that. We need to transpose. We need to get rid of the simpler stuff first. Dividing, because everything, the numerator is divided by 3, so we have to get rid of the 3 first. That's why we search for LCM, then multiply through by LCM. After multiplying through by LCM, we still have a quadratic equation. So what we need to do, we need to collect like terms. After we collect like terms, we have 8 equal to 2x squared. We still cannot touch the x squared, you know. We still cannot touch the x squared because we realize it's multiplied by what? It's multiplied by 2. So we have to get rid of the 2 first. Remember that the square is only attached to the x. You know, that's another thing. The square is only attached to the x. The square isn't attached to every other component. It's only attached to the x. So what we need to do, we need to remove everything from around x squared before we can actually touch the square. Understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so we have to remove everything from around it, starting with the simplest stuff, the simplest thing first. In this case, we have to get rid of the LCM. Get that? Do you get that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so take this off, and then we're going to do the transposition question. So remember, the same procedure that we use to solve this linear and quadratic equation question is the same procedure we're going to use to solve this one. So take it off quickly for me.
Yes.
Alright, so I'm going to remove this. We're going to need this space for this question. I'm going to remove this, and then let's go through the transposition question. Alright, so remember, we're solving for x. We're making x the subject. So what we need to do, we need to find the LCM. Remember, the same procedure that we carried out with this question is the same procedure we're going to carry out with this one. So the LCM in this case, what's the LCM? The LCM is A. So what we're going to do, we're going to multiply everything by A. So we're going to have A times n being equal to A times mx squared plus c over A. So this A is going to cancel this A. So this side we're going to have an. Remember to have NA is the same thing as an. Being equal to mx squared plus c. At this stage of the question, on this side, what did we do? We collected like terms. But remember, we have mx squared plus c. So what am I going to bring over? The c. So bringing over the c is positive on one side of the equation. It's going to turn negative. So we're going to have an minus c being equal to mx squared. Then the other procedure, what are we going to do now? So I'm going to rewrite it on this side. So we have an minus c being equal to mx squared. Remember, we're searching for x. So what do we need to remove now?
And we're going to divide.
We're going to divide. We're going to divide both sides by? We're going to divide both sides by m. So m is going to cancel m, so we have x squared being equal to an minus c all over m. Now, what's the next step? What's the next step? Square root. So we're going to have to put square root on both sides. The square root of x squared is equal to the square root. Now, the thing is with this side, you have to make sure that the square root covers everything. So, I know that probably some students will put like a small square root and put n minus c over m. No, with this side, you have to make sure that the square root covers even the m. So if you use the exaggerate and put it like that. If I use the exaggerate and put it like that. So, our final answer, so remember, so let me see. Where can I write the final answer? Alright, right here. So, the final answer, I'm going to have x being equal to the square root of an minus c all over m. So clear that off for me.
Oh, it's difficult.
Sir?
Oh, it looks terrible. I'm not right.
I know really, I know really please you look terrible still, you know. I just feel say you look funny and say long too long.
Yeah, what?
But if you realize, no, when we were dealing with the direct numbers, these things would basically cancel out or be simplified, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but in this case we cannot simplify it because we're dealing with variables and the variables are not the same. Understand?
Sir.
I'm not really seeing the board.
Alright, so somebody requested one with cube. So let's say we had a question 1 being equal to, let's say, x cube. I'm going to put it over 3. I'm going to put plus 1 here. I'm going to change this. I'm going to put 3 here. Alright, so we need to solve for x here. And I'm going to give you a transposition question with that format. M is equal to ax cubed plus k all over, let's say, c. Now, slowly, we're going to go through this. So it's a fractional component question. So the first thing we need to do is to do it. And after this, we're going to be looking at some CXC past per question. Okay? Let me get a few past per questions. Ready? So we're going to look at some past paper questions that has to do with transposition. Everybody get that? So with this question, first thing we need to do is to find what? LCM. What's the LCM?
3.
LCM is 3. So I'm going to multiply everything by 3. So it's going to be 3 times 3 being equal to 3 times x cubed plus 1 all over 3. Now this 3 is going to cancel this 3, so we're going to have 9 being equal to x cubed plus 1. The next step is we're going to collect like terms. So they bring over the positive one is going to turn negative, so it's going to be 9 minus 1 equals to x cubed. Hold on, there should be a cube on this. And I'm going to remove this a. Yeah, so it's basically the same thing as that. So we have, so after subtracting, so 9 minus 1, we're going to have 8 being equal to x cubed. So we have to solve for x. Now, what's the opposite of cube in a number? What's the opposite of cube? So we have square, the opposite is square root. Now, cube. What's the opposite of cube?
The cube root.
The cube root. Very good, miss. So what we need to do, we need to find the cube root of both sides. Remember the cube root symbol looks something like this. I'm going to give you some more space here. So we're going to have the cube root. So the cube root looks something like that. A 3 is catched up in the B section here. So 8 being equal to the cube root of x cubed. And remember also that x squared, for example, if we have, let's say we have the square root of 4, it's the same thing as 4 to the power half. You need to remember these things. Power half, and if we have, let's say we have 8, the cube root of 8, it's the same thing as 8 to the power of a third. You have to remember those things. Same thing as power of 8 to the power of a third. So cube is going to cancel cube root. So we have 8x is going to be equal to, now the cube root of 8 is 2. The cube root of 8 is what? 2. So remember, just rewrite this and put the x on the left hand side for me. So you're going to put x equal to 2. So take that out for me, and then we're going to look at the transposition question. So take that out. Alright, so then we resume. So, with the transposition question, what's the first step?
So you go multiply by x.
So we're going to multiply everything by the LCM. So we're going to have c times m being equal to c times x cubed plus k all over c. So this c is going to cancel that c. So right here we can put cm or we can put mc, same thing. So mc is equal to x cubed plus k. Then remember, at this stage we collected like terms, but we're not going to really collect like terms in this case. We're just going to bring over the k or subtract k on both sides. So we're going to have mc minus k being equal to x cubed. I'm going to continue on this side. mc minus k equal to x cubed. So remember, we need to solve for x, or we need to remove the cube. So the opposite of cube is cube root. The opposite of cube is cube root. So we're going to apply the cube root on both sides. So cube root cancel cube. So we have x being equal to the cube root of mc minus k. Just rewrite it and put it on the left hand side. mc minus k. So that will be our solution for the transposition question. So after this question, I'm going to put, we have what? We have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 7 CXC past paper questions with transposition, and that's what we're going to do, okay? And then that's it for class. So next class we're going to continue on algebra. We're going to look at factorization, so make sure you're here for that. I already have a video up on factorization, so what you can do, just remind me to share the link with you. Everybody get that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So just hurry up and write this off the board for me. We're going to go through a few CXC type questions. I'm going to give you a few of them for homework. And that's going to be it for class. So we just use 1-2 hour class for transposition. I think that is sufficient. So all you need to do is to just practice. Any questions, you always can text and ask or whatever. Everybody get that?
So we can email SJP?
Yeah man, some students emailed it to me already.
Okay.
And I gave them their response. So if somebody emailed me their SBA and I did not respond to it, you can just resend it. So more than likely what happened was I looked at it but didn't reply.
Sir, so send back a response. I don't get to look at my one, but I see that you send it.
Okay, so what we'll be looking at now is some CXC past questions. So with these questions, I'm not going to write a linear equation that is associated with them. We're just going to go into solving the questions. Alright, so I'm going to write the questions on the board. Whatever we don't finish, You're going to do them for homework. So the first question I have is V equals to pi r squared h. Excuse me for a few seconds. Alright, sorry about that. So the person that was asking the question, what are you saying now?
Because I can't see the board so clearly. Could you repeat the question on the right thing? Could you repeat the first question? So please send the question to the WhatsApp of the Google Classroom because I really can't see the board.
Alright, so those are two questions. This is the third one. I have E is equal mv squared.
Yeah, when I finish, take the picture and send it to you because it's really bad.
Yes, miss, I heard you. So just give me a couple seconds. Express V in terms of E and M. E and M. So those are three questions. So we can catch one more here or so. So that's three questions with this one. I'm not going to write out what they say. I'm just going to just write the question and put beside it what you're supposed to make with the subject. Question 4. You have R equals to 2p squared over q minus 3. So you're supposed to make q the subject here. Q. Number 5, we have S being equal to half bracket u plus v bracket t multiplied by t here. So we're supposed to make u the subject for this one. So we can find a sixth question, and this one 6. They have p over 2 being equal to the square root of t plus r all over g. This one they said they want t to be the subject. So we can get another one. The camera here, and give you a final one, the 7th one. This one they have f is equal to 9 over 5. Right, so a bit better. 9 over 5 bracket. Oh, this is not a bracket, it's a c. C plus 32. So that's the questions that we're going to be looking at. So write them off for me. Write them off. We'll take the picture and send it in the WhatsApp group. So write them off, and then we're going to go through a few of them, and you're going to do the rest for homework. Everybody get that?